I didn't.
Joe.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, Louis?
Stan found this over in the bushes by the tree there.
Yeah.
Little girl's dress.
8:28 p.m. The area where the torn clothing was found was roped off and checked for fingerprints and other physical evidence. None was found. Homicide Division was notified and joined in the investigation. The dress was taken down to Lee Jones at the crime lab for examination. Then it was shown to the father of the missing children, Frank Karsten. He definitely identified it. The search for the 4-year-old twins was intensified. An emergency spot check was made of all known and registered sex offenders. We drove back to the city hall and we went to the stats office. From the hundreds of names, the stats office came up with one that might possibly tie in. He was listed as George Harris Lytell Gramberg. His address was at the south end of 7th Avenue, close by the park area where the Karsten twins had disappeared. Gramberg was described as tall, well-built, dark hair with a mustache. We found him at his work, a small bar out in the Wilshire district. He played the Hammond organ.
Yes, that's right. I live on 7th Avenue, right across the street from the park. What's the matter this time?
Missing juveniles. Can you tell us what you did today starting at noon, Gramberg?
I don't know if I can or not. I don't keep a daily log, you know. They didn't tell me I had to do that.
Just tell us where you were between noon and 6 tonight. That's all we want to know.
Well, that's quite a bit, don't you think? Suppose I told you I was playing canasta with a maiden aunt. Would that shock you?
Now, you look, mister, we're not in the mood for smart answers. You just tell us where you were, that's all.
I don't know why you always have to bother me every time something happens.
You made your own reputation. We didn't. What about it?
I left my apartment about 11:30 this morning. I went down to the Union Hall and paid my dues. Had lunch with some friends at the Blue Pigeon out on Wilcox, and then we went on tour of one of the studios. All right?
Will your friends confirm that story for you?
Well, no, they won't. They left town tonight, took the 8:15 train to San Francisco.
Well, what about it, Gramberg? Who is going to vouch for your story?
I already told you, my friends have left town. You can check with the guard at the movie studio if you want. We had a pass, time punched in, time punched out. It's all there.
You want to call and check that studio, Frank?
Yeah.
I don't mean to be rude, Sergeant, but I always did feel that registration business was unfair.
Is that so?
Yes, grossly unfair.
Well, how do you suggest we keep track of you?
Well, why do I have to be kept track of anyway?
You know as well as I do your record.
Oh, it was all a lie. I hardly even touched that kid. I paid my time anyway. Why can't you give me a break? Every time something happens to a kid, I get a cop on my neck.
Were you in the 7th Avenue Park at any time today, Gramberg?
What?
I said, were you in the 7th Avenue Park at any time today?
Matter of fact, I was. Yes, I took a walk there.
What time was that?
I don't know. I left my friends after lunch. I came home to freshen up about 1:30, I guess. I was in the park about 1:45, 2 o'clock. Only stayed a few minutes.
When'd you leave?
About 2:15.
You went from the park to meet your friends at the studio, did you?
Exactly right, yes.
Did you see 2 dark-haired little girls while you were in that park?
No, I didn't see anybody. I was by myself.
You're sure of that, are you?
Of course I'm sure. Even if I did see him, it wouldn't mean anything. I don't molest kids. I don't get along with them, that's all. But I wouldn't hurt a little kid. I never could.
No one says you have.
I know that, but I just want you to know how I feel. Maybe I don't get along with kids, but I couldn't hurt them. Little girls especially. I like kids, really.
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah.
See you a minute?
Yeah. Did you talk to the studio?
Yeah, I checked with the guard.
What do you have to say?
Gramberg was there from 2:30 to 4:30.
Yeah.
His alibi's good.
At 10:55 p.m., the 4-year-old Karsten girls were still missing. A special detail of men from homicide had been assigned to a general canvass of the stores and homes in the park area. All the residents were questioned. No one had seen the children. 11:20 p.m., we stopped to call the office. Hello, Lieutenant Hartgrove, this Friday. No, we just talked with him. He's clear. Yeah. They did, huh? When? Right. We'll get right over it. Right. Well, looks like the waiting's over.
What do you mean?
Office just got a call from Valley Division a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
The little girls, they've been found. "11:25 p.m. As soon as we got the word that the 4-year-old Karsten twins had been found, Frank and I drove back to the office where Inspector Miller filled us in. A few minutes past 11 p.m., a motorist out in the valley spotted 2 small girls walking hand in hand along a deserted side road off Ventura Boulevard. Their clothing was dirty and torn. They were alone. The motorist picked them up and took them to the Valley Division station where the girls were identified. We sent out a partial cancellation on the APB. The twin girls were taken to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital where they were treated for cuts and bruises. Then they were returned to their home. The doctor reported that both girls had been molested. The search for the abductor went on. Late the next day, Frank and I, together with a policewoman, drove out to the Karsten home to talk to the twins. We had no luck at all. They were still shaken up from the excitement and the shock of their experience.
It was the same thing this morning when I tried to question them. They just don't want to talk about it. Oh, it must have been horrible for them.
They tell you anything at all, Mrs. Karsten?
Well, Joan just refuses to talk about it. She says the man was big. That's all I could get out of her. Tilly seems a little more willing to talk, though. She's always been a little bit more forward than Joan ever since they were babies.
I see. Could she add anything at all to what your other little girl told you about the man?
She told her father the man had a mustache. Now, that probably impressed her because my husband wears one, too. I'm pretty certain she's right about that. I can usually tell when she's making things up.
Mm-hmm. Now, how about the way the man was dressed, his clothes?
No, they didn't mention anything in particular. Tilly said the man